What do you get when you cross a know-it-all newspaper columnist with an awkward, unsophisticated everyman?
Yeah. Well, I'm just not sure about that right now.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo.
Welcome to Couch and the Roo, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis. Inspiring people to do better, feel better, be better, look better. Mostly look better. I find that people I'm around when I'm on Skymint just look better.
They have to.
Yeah. So we're a pretty ugly species anyway.
Yeah.
Skymint helps with that.
We need our if we ever do a live show again, we need to hand out gummies.
If we do a live show, there's a really good chance it'll be at our Wednesday show sponsor. Wednesday show is brought to you by Front 43 Neighborhood Pub and Cask and Company Kitchen and Bar. Many of you know where that is. Just on the edge of Lansing and East Lansing, just north of Frandor there on East Saginaw in Lansing. Outstanding menu, great beer selection. One of the best place I've really ever been where you sit at a bar and have the TV setup there at Front 43 is just my favorite on like a college football Saturday. So as you're starting to think about where you want to spend your college football Saturdays or any day to watch the Tigers, go to caskandcompany.com to look at their menu. Great stuff there. Outstanding beer selection. Jason, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. I was just looking up how much caffeine can you have in a day because I switched from coffee to energy drinks, and I've had two of them. There's 250 milligrams in each one.
Why did you switch to the type of thing that makes your heart explode?
I don't know, because I'm just trying to find something that gives me energy, and coffee really wasn't doing the trick. And then I tried one of these like Monster Energy things with no sugar in them, and now I'm just wired though.
Yeah, they're still not good.
I'm like
for
Dan Campbell. I'm just ready to run through a wall.
Yeah, if I were you, I would do some reading on what those things do to you.
I know, but it's better than being tired all day. I'd rather be dead.
Okay, well that will.
You know
be
what I mean?
choice,
Like,
yes.
what do they do? I'd rather, you don't want to see how it's made and all that stuff. You don't want to look behind the counter. As long as I'm awake, I'm good.
Yeah,
If I have a heart attack at 50,
I've got a coffee addiction too, so I'm not gonna get on you too
But you're
much,
up to 400 milligrams a day of caffeine a day appears to be safe, is what Google is telling me here.
Okay, and how much?
4
is one
cups
of
of
those?
brewed coffee
Right.
or 10 cans of cola. I don't know. I just want to be awake.
Sleep, man.
I do. I sleep very well. Listen, I'm starting to work out now. My body is feeling it, so I'm feeling a little bit better that way. Because I wasn't working out at all. My body wasn't moving whatsoever. So maybe that was it. I don't think anybody cares. Sorry.
This is a great start.
Yeah.
Great start. Let's just
It's a
break down
Wednesday
energy
show.
drinks. I don't poo-poo the Wednesday show because you came here with an ass story. Like, that is not a story we're telling right there.
I wasn't a story. I was just trying to start the show with interesting banter. Yeah,
We should do it. That would be a funny show. I mean, I don't remember any of it, so it would be hard to go back. But like our worst attempts at banter, just more awkward.
I would start with Wednesday shows. I would go there, and then I would go to the Monday show at the end for if you want Kermit the Frog / Yoda impressions.
I got rave reviews about my Yoda impression.
It's not terrible. I just wasn't ready for it. That's all.
And now
came out of nowhere.
I'm thinking about Kermit, and now I've got Kermit and Yoda in my head. I don't even know which one to do.
Did you do them both differently? Let's hear Kermit.
No, I can't do Kermit, but Kermit the Frog here. I can't really do it. Kermit the Frog here. No, I can't do it.
There's just no confidence in it.
No,
That's
I lost
the
confidence.
problem.
I can do, I could do like Bert and Ernie. I could do Ernie like, hey Bert. I used to be able to do, but but we've been asked to do a debate with you as Aussie Jason and me as Yoda.
No. Yeah, I don't have much Aussie.
There should be a weird debate, but we could do it at some point.
Yeah.
I think we're gonna have a fun show here. We're gonna talk some Michigan State football. Fall camp starts tomorrow. The players report today. Fun time of year. We're gonna get into some of the stuff that I'm thinking about as the fall camp starts and things that are on Jason's mind besides caffeine. And then we're going to have Harry Gagnon on, and we're going to do our over-unders, like best over-unders for the NFL and for this season. Along with Jason and I, we're going to resume our parlay picks, where we each pick a 3-team parlay that we really love. I got one that I think is going to hit. And
does it involve the Tigers?
Mine does.
Ah, shit.
But yours can too.
Okay.
Because there's, as long as they're not the same exact 3 teams, I think it's okay to have one overlap. And then we're going to have James Edwards, we think, on with us. The Pistons, of course, thinking they're all important, scheduled like their 14th straight day of media availability at the time of our original interview. So we're going to do him later in the show after Harry. And we'll talk about the Pistons draft, the guys they've signed, Kelly Olynyk and Cade Cunningham, and just what next year might look like.
I don't think Kelly Olynyk and Cade Cunningham should be in the same sentence. If you're a Pistons fan,
they might both be in the starting lineup next year.
Jeez.
And then and some of the other things that have gone around the NBA. It'd be a fun conversation with James. So we're hoping that happens here in about half an hour. But let's get into some MSU football stuff here first, Jason. This is one of usually the day before fall camp, I look around and a lot of people have written their 5 questions coming into fall camp. And sure enough, today, Stephen Brooks, Colton Pouncey, Matt Wenzel, I'm sure Chris wrote one. It's all the same shit, right? If you don't know, it's the quarterbacks, the offensive line. Like I mean, in varying degrees of analysis, and you have different writers you like, but there's not a new storyline. We know what they are. But it is one of the more intriguing fall camps, if not the most that I can recall, because you just have so much that's in question. And, I mean, obviously, anytime you have a quarterback battle, that's interesting, right? That sucks up a lot of the oxygen in the room, whether it's Peyton Thorne or the Temple transfer Anthony Russo. And, and this is a job that Mel Tucker is on record saying is going to be decided before the season. That's also interesting, right? So it's a fall camp job. And then whoever wins the job is going to have pressure on them to perform out of the gate. You've got a lot of dudes at running back I'm curious to see. And by the way, their first practice tomorrow morning, media is available for the first few sessions, not very long. There are interviews after. So maybe you take some stuff from it. As practices go on, you get a sense of who's getting first-team reps and things like that. Because, like the 4 dudes at running back, Kenneth Walker, the Wake Forest transfer, and he's kind of become this assumed guy because he looked so good in the spring, everybody says. But, I still think Elijah Collins was pretty good 2 years ago, and now he's removed from having COVID. Jordan Simmons at time for a freshman looked real good last year. The Auburn transfer, Harold Joyner. There are 4 guys that I think have a chance to make an impact in varying ways.
And don't forget Connor Hayward's back.
Well, Connor Hayward's going to be in there. He's not going to be the starting dude.
No.
And really, he probably shouldn't be a main dude carrying the ball. He should be in some sort of H-back or some other role there based on what we've seen in previous years. And we've seen a lot of him. But you should get a feel in camp, right? And there are a lot of things you don't really know until the game starts at running back and you see how – but you should get a feel for how Mel Tucker sees them, and you're not going to be able to play all those guys. I mean, that's the thing. Not all 4 of those guys get carries. It's hard to give 3 guys carries. Running back's really a 2-guy position, and it when it's done well. And so that's a lot of talent and possibilities.
And I guess the concern is, are these guys week 2, week 3? When do they start getting frustrated by playing time? Well, especially at running back. When I'm looking at these running backs, there's going to be some pissed off guys.
And you're going to get your opportunity. I mean, for Walker and Joyner, they've had their transfer, right? And this is going to be, for Elijah Collins, certainly, if he winds up number 3 behind those guys at the end of this year or something like that, I can see him not wanting to be around. I'm still not saying, I still think Elijah Collins can be a major factor here in all of this. The offensive line, right? I mean, who's going to be next to whom? Who's at tackle? They haven't had enough tackles in recent years. They've been playing guards at tackles. They finally, have, guys that, the Arkansas State transfer. You finally got a guy there who's Horst, who's built to be a tackle, Jarrett Horst, and I think he'll be at left tackle. Who's on the other side? What's the line look like? What are the combinations? Is there decent depth? And they're pretty upfront about depth usually, and they're not wrong. Like if they say, well, we've got 5 guys. And if these 5 are healthy, then we're pretty good. They got trouble because the guys never stay healthy. It's when they've got 7 or 8 that, and that's what you really need to have a decent season in an offensive line, I think, is 7 or 8 guys who give you something. Cornerback, right? Ronald Williams, the Bama transfer. Chester Kimbrough. Like the Florida transfer. It's not all transfers that matter, but it's so different than a normal camp. Usually, Jason, we go in and it's like the curiosity is largely the freshmen, right? It's like,
right.
Who might play? How good is this recruit? And ultimately, like 3 dudes are factors in the 2 deep at the beginning of the season, and maybe 1 is a starter. And it's just not that big a thing, but they're the new guys. The new guys now are guys who may start and guys they need to play, especially at corner, especially at left tackle, like key positions, maybe at running back, maybe at quarterback. I think the need is less there, but you might have a transfer there. Linebacker could be a big – I think it's just a different camp than anything we've ever seen at Michigan State with, roughly 35 new players and
you mentioned the linebacker core. I mean, Crouch from Tennessee and Van Sumeren, who's coming from Michigan. I mean, some of those schools like Ronald Williams, Alabama, Kimbrough, Florida. I mean, getting those kind of transfers from those schools, I think, is a big deal.
Sometimes, and here's the thing, and here they have so many of them that some are going to pan out. But I have also, I've covered a lot of transfers. For example, when I covered Western Michigan, I lived in Kalamazoo. There was a guy, Jim O'Neill. I want to say something O'Neill. Anyway, he was a 4-star offensive lineman from Grand Haven who started out at Michigan. Came to Western Michigan. Oh, they got a 4-star lineman. Big deal. When he gets there, the guy was barely a starter, if that, at Western, because sometimes guys find they can't play somewhere. I don't necessarily think that's the case with Ronald Williams. He did get beat out for one spot, but I think he's a guy who could have had a career at Bama. Chester Kimbrough, same deal. Like Jarrett Horst was an all-conference guy who's moving up. So there's some good signs in those. I think there will be some transfers that are less than inspiring when we actually see them, and there's a reason they left, and there's a reason they got beat out.
But it's still I understand that a lot of those guys might not work out, but still getting those guys, like you say with recruits, like what are the other schools they're looking at? They're leaning towards. And if those schools those big name schools are involved, I think your program's headed in the right direction, especially in Mel Tucker's second year.
Yes, and I think they are. I mean, from what I've heard, these guys look the part. This isn't just where they came from; it's who they are and their evaluations. And this will be a test of Mel Tucker's evaluations too, right? I mean, if you get these wrong, it says something about your ability to evaluate talent on any level. Recruits. I mean, he's getting more and more 4-star recruits committing-ish, leaning / pledging, whatever we're going to do with that sort of rhetoric. And, it looks like they may have another 4-star kid committing soon. They've gotten out. They're starting to get those kids, and there's a little bit of a buzz, and there's momentum in the in the program. So, but how you evaluate transfers says something about how you evaluate talent, and that's the thing we don't know about. The thing that made Mark D'Antonio so damn successful for so long was not only did he land enough big recruits and enough really high 3-4 star, but they identified kids that sometimes other people had missed. They went all in on people despite the number of offers somebody had, and often those guys wound up being players. Darquez Denard, Le'Veon Bell. And these guys were, so they had a real knack for that at their best. And we still don't know yet whether that's something Mel Tucker has. Now, he's been in college football a long time. He's been around football. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm not saying the staff doesn't. And there are some holdovers. Harlan Barnett's still from that staff. He was part of those recruitments. But those are things we're going to find out with the transfers right now, because you don't want to, you want to use those spots. As he said, I think this will be the largest amount of transfers they have, but you want to use those spots to fill in the places you have needs and not necessarily build the program through them. And if you're getting guys who aren't immediate need filler capable dudes, then use them on freshmen. You don't want to be taking too many of those guys. You don't want to take too many flyers. You want to, and he was pretty blunt at Big Ten Football Media Day that they know their roster, they know who they have, and so that.
Well, and my question with the transfers is, I know it's kind of a newer kind of thing, but what are promised to these guys? Kenneth Walker coming from Wake Forest where he had success, in Russo. Are they promised things to get a transfer? Do you have to promise them certain things? Like, you will be our starter week 1.
You got to be insane to do that if you're a coach. I think what you're doing is promising opportunity, and you may show the depth chart a little bit and say, this is who we've got.
But if Kenneth Walker doesn't look good in camp, do you think he doesn't get the start? That's what I'm saying. Like, what do you have to kind of give these guys?
No.
And if guys start coming out and saying, well, you went back on your promise, you promised me playing time.
No, if he gets beat out by other, because here's the thing that happens in college football and anything. the best guy's got to play because the locker room knows who the best guy is. If you don't play the best guys, if you're playing politics that way, that's not going to work.
Yeah, but the guys that transfer don't really care about what the other guys in the locker room say because I was promised playing time.
I don't think they will.
That's where I see it getting kind of
stunned.
messy, and hopefully that doesn't happen here at Michigan State. But
I would be stunned if that was what was happening. I think they're promised.
You don't think Anthony Russo would be disappointed if he's back up to Peyton Thorne?
He'd be absolutely
after he
disappointed.
decided to come to Michigan State. Hey, I kind of bailed you guys out. You really didn't have a quarterback, or so you thought at the time. And now I'm sitting behind Thorne.
But there was a chance he wasn't going to start at Temple. Like this was a mutually this is a mutually beneficial arrangement.
Yeah.
And I do think that Thorne, when that conversation was already happening, Thorne had that great end of the season, and they did not like what they knew they couldn't go into another year with Rocky Lombardi. And they didn't know, and Thorne had some moments where he struggled at points when he got opportunities. They didn't think the way their quarterback situation looked going into the Penn State game last year, they did not think they could return with those options. Because if the team is ready to win at a higher level, and yet you can't do it because you don't have quarterback play, and we've seen that before at Michigan State. We've seen it with Andrew Maxwell. We've seen it with Tyler O'Connor at times. Then that's really on you as a coach. That's a big problem. So I think. They obviously Peyton Thorne ended the season well. They didn't get the last game when it got canceled again against Maryland. It would have been good after he had that really showed some stuff against Penn State to see him have to do it again. But I still don't. I think Anthony Russo probably thinks he's got a legitimate shot to win the job. And the other thing is, if one of those guys struggles or gets, it's still a chance to be a Big Ten quarterback. You're one of two guys fighting for the job. I do think Thorne is probably in better position than Russo maybe imagined when he said yes, but it's that'll be interesting because the other thing is when you hear Mel Tucker say he knows his roster, and then you don't hear him shy away from any expectations. In fact, he's the one driving expectations in a lot of ways, his own expectations. He's not talking about 5-year plans and got to build towards something, be good to get to a bowl game this year. He doesn't talk in that sort of rhetoric.
Nobody wants to hear about the 5-year plan.
Nobody does, but there are certain ways to couch it in tone, and he's not doing it. And he says he knows his roster. That makes you think he thinks he's got something a little better than maybe we expect or no. I will stand by this as we get ready to go to Harry here. I will stand by the idea that over 4.5 wins for Michigan State, and I know the juice is going up a little bit, but is a great play. When you look at their roster and a schedule, I should say, and we went through this before, I see about 4 games they probably should lose, about 4 games they perhaps should win, and again, we don't know what these other teams are exactly going to look like, and 4 probable toss-ups. And if you just do the math on that, that's a 6-6 projection, and that's below. That's not counting what Mel Tucker thinks of his team or what. And so the line is 4. I think there's great value in Michigan State over 4.5 wins, and it's a way to root for your team, and and also make money on them, which sometimes doesn't happen. Sometimes you have to go the other way. Before we go to Harry, a reminder that Skymint is located throughout all of Michigan, including 3 in the Lansing area. South Cedar has been my go-to spot. Jason's been to East Lansing. There's one on Pennsylvania as well. Go to skymint.com for location information and use the Couch and the Rube promo code, Couch and Rube 20. Couch and Rube 20 for 20% off your purchase at any Skymint location. Very pleased now to have with us the great Harry Gagnon from the Against All Odds podcast and extrapoints.com and bestbetcorner.com. The wise one, the traveling man, who's in Alaska now for some fucking reason. Harry, what are you doing, and what are you doing with Alaska?
You know what? I was just in Vegas over the weekend, gambled my face off with cousin Sal and the crew from Extra Points and our buddies from New York. We're celebrating Sal's 50th birthday. I had a great time. So my buddy who I work for sometimes, Ken, that you guys know from all the Against All Odds podcasts. He's a character too. He said, let's go to Anchorage. So I followed him here, and we're here. And tomorrow's video, if everyone wants to go to extrapoints.com, I've just gotten confirmation that tomorrow's video will be from we're landing on a glacier. I'm going to be doing a video from a glacier for tomorrow's pick.
You're not taking the Exxon Valdez out to the glacier, are you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so, but I'm not thrilled about this. I'm a little frightened about taking a small plane like this to a glacier and landing on a glacier, but that's what we're doing for tomorrow's video on extra points.
That's awesome.
Great 40-year-old reference, the Exxon Valdez.
We have people who know the Exxon Valdez. It was 30 some years ago. 2 something around there. Anyway.
And Harry, don't worry. People land on glaciers all the time. You have nothing to worry about.
Oh, okay, sure.
You'll be safe.
It worked well for the Titanic. They land, and certainly there's lots of, you do lots of Titanic references during the video.
Is there a weight limit on a glacier? I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, well, you may find out tomorrow, Harry.
Global warming's not in your favor, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure, you're right.
Harry, there are a number of things we want to do today with you here. We want to do some NFL over-under type stuff and sort of our best over-unders that we like at this point. And then, but also want to get into first the Major League Baseball games you like today. And we also want to do, Jason and I are going to do the thing we did before. We're each going to give you a parlay.
I love it, yeah.
And you tell us what's the best parlay, and we'll see. And I really love mine. I think we're in a big spot.
Okay.
Let's start with the games you love. You love a 2-team parlay, 2 favorites, which I think just based on the juice probably pay out better than even. Dodgers minus 210, Rockies minus 170 today. What do you like about this?
Yeah, I mean, the fans were great in L.A. and Chavez Arena last night, booing the Astros. Astros did still pull it out, so I think the Dodgers get revenge here. Like you said, at minus 210, Scherzer's first start in Dodger blue uniform. Odorizzi for Houston's ERA is over 4, so let's get the Dodgers to even up the series against the Astros. They get the W, like I said, in Scherzer's first start as a Dodger. And the Rockies at minus 170. John Gray's on the bump for the Rockies tonight. He's been pretty good. He's 5-2 at home in his last 7 starts. 6 of those 7 starts, 2 earned runs or less. The other one was just 3. So I'm taking the Rockies at minus 170 tonight against the Cubs. Who's got Alec Mills on the mound. His ERA is over 4.5. So let's go Rockies, Dodgers, 2-team parlay tonight.
I love it. And the Rockies have been a better play than people realize. They were so bad early, but they've been a decent play of late. All right, before we get into any football stuff, Jason, you want to do your parlay first? You want me to go first?
I will go first, since yours is the greatest parlay of all time, apparently.
I got my pen and paper here ready. I'm writing these down, guys. So, let me figure this out.
All right, Harry, we're going to go Tigers plus 1.5. Casey Mize on the mound. Even you can't jinx Casey Mize, or maybe you can. Miami Marlins plus 1.5 at minus 120. And we're going to go Giants money line, a Boona Boona classic, at minus 185. For a total of plus 408, my friend.
Wow. Well, so that's Tigers. You're taking Casey minus 1.5.
Plus 1.5 at minus.
1.5.
Yep. And I'm taking Marlins plus 1.5 and Giants money line at plus 408.
San Fran money line. Who they got? Okay,
Arizona
against the Diamondbacks. Oh wow. Okay.
It's a lock.
Looks pretty good. Okay.
All right. The whole parlay is plus 408.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad. I actually, that's pretty good. I like the way you did the Tigers. I did the Tigers a little differently. So my first leg of this parlay, actually it's not the first, but it's the one I wrote down first. It's tomorrow, the Sweden women's soccer team, minus 120 versus Canada in the gold medal game. Canada is not that good. The U.S. team just lacks chemistry. They're not that good. I mean, Sweden is good. Like, I think Sweden's the best team.
I'll buy that.
I like minus 120. It's got to happen in regulation, which is bullshit, by the way. I don't like that soccer's going to have to get it together, because baseball, the extra innings still counts in terms of over-under, total, money line, all that stuff. In soccer, the second they go to extra time, you lose your bet, and I'm not a fan of that. So they need to get on the same page. Second leg of this parlay, Tigers plus 0.5. Minus 120, first 5 innings against the Red Sox. Casey Mize versus Eduardo Rodriguez. The Tigers have the better guy on the mound. They just do. Rodriguez shouldn't be in the rotation of a playoff team. He got roughed up on his last start. He's not that good. I'm not going to look. I'll take the Red Sox lineup. The Tigers bullpen was great yesterday, and that scares me. They're not going to pitch Fulmer 2 days in a row, and he's the key gap. Like, they're not going to be a great bullpen 2 days in a row. So I don't like the whole game overall, but give me the first 5 innings and Tigers plus a half, minus 120. And then I also love the Yankees minus 1.5 against the Orioles and Matt Harvey, who got lucky last time out against the Tigers there was soft stuff. And the guy who's pitching for the Yankees was 4-0 in July with a 1.16 ERA. So give me the Yankees minus 1.5 against the Orioles, and that $100 plays $490 on that. So it's plus $490 for that 3-team
Mine
parlay.
should win automatically because it didn't involve soccer, women's soccer.
I gotta say, I'm very impressed, guys, with both of them. I like both of them. You guys make a lot of sense here. But I'm gonna, you know what, Graham? I'm gonna lean a little bit still towards Jason's here because he's getting the plus 1.5 with Mize at home. It makes a lot of sense, and you guys made great points about this Tigers-Boston game tonight. Rodriguez's ERA is over 5.5. He hasn't been pitching well either. But I do like the Casey Mize play here. Tigers 7 games over 500 at home. San Fran against the Diamondbacks, that just should be a gift. Gossman's been fantastic for the San Francisco Giants. And at minus 1, what'd you say, minus 170, 177?
On which one?
The Marlins?
On San Francisco.
Oh,
San Francisco is minus 185.
185. That's a bargain still against Arizona. And look, why not take the Marlins plus 1.5? The Mets were they killed me in Vegas over the weekend against the Reds. So I'm taking that. So I'm going to take Jason's 3-team parlay here: Tigers plus 1.5, Marlins plus 1.5 to be safe, and San Fran minus 185. But Graham, I like yours too, but I'm not so positive about Sweden in this women's soccer. Even though they probably are the better team and probably the best team out of all of them, I'm still going to go with Jason Farley a little bit here. I like it a little bit better.
That's fair. We'll see which way it shakes out.
Graham always has to get cute and throw in these half inning or half run shit.
I'm just saying, like,
I just give 3 straight games.
The Tigers had their best bullpen day of the season last night.
They sure did,
and I'm like, that's not happening.
And that's
2
what
times
scares
in a row.
me.
Yeah.
Not to shit on my parlay, but Casey Mize is going to pitch probably 5 innings,
if that,
and then they're going to pull him because of pitch count, and then all of a sudden here comes the bullpen.
Yeah.
So hopefully it was a repeat performance of last night, Eric. But we're looking good.
Sounds good.
Let's.
But again, talent on the Yankees has pitched well. The last 3 starts, he's only given up 1 earned run, so it does look good. Both look good. Maybe we make like a 5-teamer.
Now we're talking.
We take the Tigers plus 1.5, Marlins plus 1.5, San Fran, Sweden, Yankees minus 1. Maybe I'll do that.
I tell you what,
thanks, guys.
Cut the soccer shit out.
Yeah.
And we'll do the rest.
I tell you, greed has never gone wrong in gambling, has it? Hey, let's make that a 5-teamer.
Why not?
It always pays off. A couple things. We want to move to the NFL games, and we are a day away from NFL preseason football. And like I've said with NFL preseason games before, like the lines, if you take big underdogs, there's value in just randomly taking all the big underdogs because there's no rhyme or reason for who wins and loses. There is not that tomorrow night, so I couldn't throw that in my parlay. Okay, so the things you like best these are season wins in the NFL for over/under, and I wish I could say the Lions at 5.5. It's actually moved up for the Lions.
See, I have it at 4.5.
Yeah, I wouldn't mess with the Lions either way because we just have no clue what the Lions are going to be this year, and there's 17 games. That's the other thing to remember. But if you're looking to make a pick early on the Lions, you're thinking about the NFL, and you want to pick over unders. Harry's best is the Bills over 11 wins plus 125, and that is, and also the over 10.5 plus 125 for the Browns. Those are the 2 you like most. Tell us why.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Graham, you get the extra game. Let's not forget, you get the extra game. So we're getting 17 games this year. The Bills over 11 at plus 125. I mean, just to get to 11 as a push, I think that's great value. And to get to 12 is a win. They had 13 wins last year. Josh Allen just keeps improving. He's been fantastic. The Bills don't lose at home either. Throw that into consideration. 10-1 in their last 11 at home. I think they're going to have like a 3-headed monster this year in the backfield running the ball. They picked up Matt Breida from San Francisco. They got Zach Moss. They got Devin Singletary. Zach Moss is being his second year coming into his own out of Utah. Especially last season, I think the Bills made the best trade they've ever made in the history of the franchise when they picked up when they traded for Stephon Diggs. He was tremendous last year. They picked up Emmanuel Sanders, a veteran wide receiver, to help out with second-year starter out of Central Florida, Gabriel Davis, who had 7 touchdowns last year as a rookie. And the Bills also have, and some of their non-division games, they get Houston this year on the schedule. They get Jacksonville. Colts now are all banged up, so they have them. And don't forget, in their division, they get 2 against the Jets. Bills over 11. Like I said, Josh Allen is, I've seen it 15-1 for MVP, is something to look at as well. And also from the AFC North, I like Cleveland over 10.5 at plus 125. I mean, this team was something special last year in Kevin Stefanski's first season with the Browns, won Coach of the Year, had a crazy run. They could have should have probably beat Kansas City in playoffs last year. Baker Mayfield's only getting better. Best 1-2 combo in the backfield in the NFL with Chubb and Hurt, and Hunt. And Beckham is back. Plus, defensively, they addressed some issues they had. They re-signed Denzel Ward. They signed Clowney in the offseason, and they signed their first-round pick cornerback Greg Newsome out of Northwestern. So I definitely like the Browns in the AFC and to go over 10.5.
So my top picks, and I like both of those. I think those are solid explanations. I like the Cowboys over 9.5. And again, 17-game season, right? So, and I just think the Cowboys are going to be better this year than they've been. I think they've shored up some things. I think they're going to be more explosive on offense. And obviously,
they did fill some holes on defense too. Definitely getting Parsons in the first round because their defense was soft last year. And Elliott looks good in this offseason. He's not coming in heavy. He looks in shape, so that's good for Dallas too.
And there's a division. It's a division that's there for the taking. I like another team in that division too. Basically, the over 500 record. I really like Washington to be in the conversation for the playoffs too. I think those are the best 2 teams in the division. Give me Washington over 8.5 and getting a 9 wins with that defense and Fitzmagic.
And Fitzmagic, baby.
Yeah.
Fitzmagic.
Give me 9. And then the other thing is the Steelers at 8.5. You know, the Steelers, I know they lost some pieces, but the Steelers always, like every year people think, this is the year the Steelers are going to suck. You tell me the Steelers aren't getting a 9 wins in a 17-game schedule? I think they are. Harry, tell me I'm wrong.
Boy, you know what? It's funny. You even look at last season though. Like the Steelers, made the playoffs the year before. They weren't good either. But even the year before, they were so dreadful. The year before, they still somehow managed to get to 8 wins. But I'm not so sure about them this year. Big Ben turns 39. They definitely had problems in the backfield last year running the ball. I think they were last in the NFL. Now I know they grabbed Najee Harris out of Alabama in the first round. He's definitely going to build on Connor left free agency to go to Arizona, so he's going to fill up that hole. But still, overall, they still have a pretty good defense. 8.5 is still. I think they land on 8. I think they go 8 and 9. I think that goes under 8.5. Maybe if you can find an 8 there and you want to go over in Pittsburgh, that makes sense more, Graham. But I'm leaning towards the under here at 8.5 with Pittsburgh because I just don't have faith in Big Ben being able to play a full season. And if he goes down, what happens to Pittsburgh then?
What do you like most, Jason? What's your top?
I hate to steal your Buffalo Bills pick, Harry, but looking at their schedule, I mean, they could be 4-0 going to they play at the Chiefs, but they play 3 of their first 4 at home, and like you said, they always win at home. I think that's an absolute lock, and you're getting plus money on that if you snag it now. Some books have it at 10.5, so I love. With a healthy Bills team, a healthy Josh Allen, I think that's an easy lock. I got to say, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, guys, 12. I have it here at VegasInsider.com. I'm taking the under, right? Right? I don't see Tampa Bay repeating the success they had last year. I just don't see it.
Well, I kind of do because you got to remember in the division here now you got Sam Darnold at Carolina, a whole brand new revamping situation with the Panthers, so that should be 2 wins, and they rolled them into the regular season last year. They rolled the Falcons in the regular season. Falcons lose Julio Jones, and they have a lot of questions. The Falcons do, and the Saints, new quarterback Breeze is gone. that could be 6-0 right there in the division for the Bucks right there. And plus, Devin White really came into his own as a linebacker last year with Tampa Bay, tackling, led in tackles, led the NFL in tackles, and he's just been a machine and he was through the playoffs too. I don't know. I'm kind of still high on the Bucks and Brady.
It's funny that you become a fan of Devin White because he won a prop bet for you in the Super Bowl. Is that right? All right.
Plenty of prop bets for me during the playoffs last year, not just the Super Bowl. But yeah, you're kind of right, too.
Maybe I can change my mind, but I just see 12 wins, and you'd always know the Super Bowl. One of the Super Bowl teams has a down season the next season, and I'm sick of Tom Brady already.
So let me make the one argument for the Lions at 5.5 over. If you get it over 4.5, it's pretty good at a 17-game season. But the one argument to take them on a season wins bet over is they're not going to be very good, probably. But it's not a huge amount. And other than rooting for a team to tank at the end, if you want a reason to watch the Lions late in the season, if you want to care and on Sundays you like watching the Lions and you want to watch people develop, you don't have to putting money on them week in and week out is probably insane this year. But if you have a season wins bet, every week you care to some degree, right? That would be my argument if you're a fan to put whatever your team is. Because it gives you a little extra juice over the course of a full season,
and there's an extra game that the Lions will need.
Extra game.
Yeah.
Have they tightened up their defense a little bit though?
No.
I mean, it's
going to be a long season.
It's going to be rough.
I mean, look at the first. I mean, if you look at the start of their schedule, guys, the 49ers, Packers, Ravens, and then at Chicago. I don't respect Chicago that much, but it's in Chicago, and at Minnesota, and then at home with the Bengals. So, I mean, it's tough to find wins.
There's an 0-5
when you look at their schedule, it's tough to find wins, and that's why I would stay away or go under.
Isn't it funny how we always look at the schedule, guys, and we're like, okay, so that's a win, that should be a win.
And we don't know shit. Yeah.
But mostly sometimes we don't. Right, we don't know shit, but sometimes we do. But when it comes to the Lions, that's the asterisk in that whole scenario, because where do you find wins for the Lions?
All right, the other thing, Harry, you like Stephon Diggs plus 420 is the most receptions in the NFL.
Yeah, I gave that out on Against All Odds yesterday, guys. Plus 420. First off, he led the NFL in receptions last year by 12. He had the most targets last year. He had 127 receptions last year. Next closest was 115 by DeAndre Hopkins. He had 166 targets, more than anyone else. Like I said, probably the best trade in Buffalo Bills history. The best season he ever had with the Vikings was 102 receptions. Him and Josh Allen just clicking on all cylinders. And if you want to look at that, it's basically targets. Like I said, 166 targets. Hopkins had 160. Kelsey, who's all over the place all the time for Kansas City, had 145 targets. Devontae Adams, 149. Waller for the Raiders had 145. So for most receptions, you're going to get plus 420 at Diggs. He did it last year. He did it by double digits over Hopkins. So plus 420, I think that's pretty good value for most receptions again. And again, the Bills and Josh Allen are rolling.
It is the thing is, and it's good value. You have to get good value in the NFL because the problem in the NFL is there's always an injury that can cripple something like that from happening, and a guy who's the great right play, is hurt.
Right.
But plus 420, I think, is great value given what happened last year. Harry, you are a beautiful man. I am glad football season is here. Maybe we'll dive into the preseason lines next week or something fun like that.
Absolutely. By the way, guys, we do have, like you said, mentioned Hall of Fame game tomorrow. That is amazing. And Pittsburgh's a 1.5-point favorite over Dallas. Over under 33. I love going on. By the way, I love going under in the Hall of Fame game. Under 33 is a low number, but let's do it.
I love it. Under 33 in the Hall of Fame game. We will end with that. Harry, you're a beautiful man. We will talk soon.
See you, Harry.
Guys, you're the best. Take care, guys. See you.
All right. We are going to take a really quick break here. When we come back, James Edwards said he's good to go. He's ready to join us. We're going to talk Pistons, Cade Cunningham, the free agency, the draft, all that stuff. As soon as we're back. Couch on the Roof, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis and Front 43 Neighborhood Bar and Cask & Company Kitchen and Pub.
Wherever you are on your cannabis journey, let Skymint Premium Cannabis be your guide, your friend, and your place. Whether you're curious about cannabis or a seasoned connoisseur, Skymint's knowledgeable staff will help you with a vast selection of products to choose from to fit your needs. Skymint believes access to the best cannabis helps people do good and feel good, so they grow it right here in Michigan, giving you high-quality, locally grown cannabis at highly accessible prices. Visit skymint.com for special offers and location information throughout Michigan and use the promo code code CouchAndRube20 for 20% off your first visit. Sky Mint Cannabis. You'll love this place. Come enjoy irresistible, award-winning, handcrafted donuts and locally roasted coffee at Groovy Donuts. Surprise your family or coworkers with special holiday designs and flavors, or put the perfect finishing touch on an event with a custom order. Birthdays, weddings, gender reveals, our friends at Groovy Donuts are your answer. Experience the Groovy Donuts difference for yourself on Lake Lansing Road in East Lansing or in Williamston. Get more information or place an order at groovydonuts.com. Where else can you cheer on your team, enjoy a mouth-watering burger or savory sushi, sip on handcrafted cocktails, or one of 46 beers on tap? Take your game day or date night to Cask & Company Kitchen Bar or Front 43 Neighborhood Pub near Frandor. 2 amazing places with 1 awesome blended modern American Asian menu. Catch the game on one of 30 60-inch TVs or stop in for the all-you-can-eat lunch buffet. Enjoy happy hour or elevate your night out at Cask & Company or Front 43 on East Saginaw in Lansing.
Find Couch and the Rube podcasts on Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts, CastBox, and the Rube's favorite, Podcast Addict.
Couch and the Rube, presented by Skymint Premium Cannabis, inspiring people to do better, feel better, look better, and be better every day of their lives. And our Wednesday show, brought to you by our friends at Cask & Company Kitchen and Bar and Front 43 Neighborhood Pub just north of Frandor on East Saginaw and Lansing. And as fall turns to winter this year, and it's a random Tuesday night, and the Pistons are starting at 7 o'clock, and you just want to go somewhere and watch the game, Front 43, outstanding place to do so. If you're on a date night and you need a TV behind your significant other's head so you can pretend to listen, Cask & Company right next door is just built for that. And the Pistons are going to be worth watching this year. Very happy now to have James Edwards from The Athletic on with us.
We're dropping MFers now?
James, thanks for doing this, man. I know you got a lot of shit going on.
I've never been more confused. I was like, are you guys just playing an old interview?
Yeah.
We're dropping MFers now? Yeah, no, man, it's been a week for me. But yeah, it's definitely a lot of optimism floating in Pistons land right now.
You've been rocking it on The Athletic. A lot of stuff happening, a lot of stuff to write about, a lot of really good analysis and breakdowns about how different guys fit, from Cade Cunningham to Kelly Olynyk they just signed, to different things that are happening in between, and why Corey Joseph has re-signed, all that stuff. A subscription is well worth it for somebody like James's coverage. So let's go back a little bit. We haven't talked. How close did they get to doing anything but Cade Cunningham, do you think?
I think it was close, man. I got a lot of if you can say MF, or can I say shit?
Yes.
I got a lot of shit for saying 60-40 that it would be Cade. And, I mean, Troy, whether it's – I don't think it'll come back and bite him or the organization down the line. But, I mean, he said on the press conference that they decided on Cade the morning of. So that's pretty close to 60-40.
Cade Cunningham's clearly a charismatic, mature young guy. Like, yeah. What is the hope within the organization that he is going to be for? I mean, they're hoping high-end star. Like, how does he fit with this roster, and what are they hoping, either comparison-wise or what he will be for this team and franchise?
I think in a weird way, they kind of envision him as like, and it's obviously not the same player, but just the same leadership, the same kind of connectivity, the guy that can get the best out of everybody, but there's a level he can go to individually as a player that this person can't go to. And it's kind of like Draymond Green for the Warriors, how he's kind of like, he's the connector of that dynasty. He's the voice, the leader. I think Cade's going to turn into that. Obviously, there's a level he can go to if all goes well for him on the court that Draymond just can't get to. But I don't think they're looking at him as like, he's not going to be LeBron. You ask Pistons fans, don't tell them that. They tend to think he's like, this is a once in a generation player. I wouldn't say that. I just think it's going to be a really good player that, if you put other really good players around him, is going to look like the best player on a really good team one day.
But so the comparison you always hear is Luka Doncic. Like, that's the closest dude. Like, is he that kind of impact dude? Is that the hope? Is that the ceiling? I mean, and obviously people didn't know Luka was going to be Luka, or Luka would have been not the 4th or 5th pick, right? I mean, nobody knew this either on draft night, so it's impossible to actually know.
Yeah, I mean, I see the similarities, both not the quickest. I would say Luka's size helps him combat some of that, the lack of foot speed. I'm curious to see how that works for Cade at this level. He's not by any means the most athletic, but he's a smart basketball player. And if his jump shot translates, which, I mean, you would think it is based on how it was in college, but you never know. Stanley Johnson shot 38% from 3 in college and barely sniffed 30 in the NBA. I think that cleans up some of the, like I said, lack of athleticism. But, yeah, he's got the potential to play all, like, 4 of the 5 positions. You can play him in so many different ways. He's just a guy that really fits today's NBA, where it's like there's no positions. And you look at him, you think he's a point guard, you think he's a wing. You could throw him in a small ball 4 lineup. Like, it gives you options to do a lot of different, give yourself different looks, which, as you know, Graham, like, the Pistons have been pretty linear for quite some time. Like, they haven't had the long rangy guys. They haven't had the athletic guys. Like, it's been pretty much, here's your point guard, here's your shooting guard, and here's your small forward, blah, blah, blah.
It is, yeah, and I do like I mean, Killian Hayes, for example. I mean, how he's going to fit with him. That they're still trying to figure out that, you know, how does Sadiq Bey, you know, how does all this fit together? And so to me, I mean, having a guy who kind of morphs into other guys who develop is important. Now let's go through your other 2 draft picks: Isaiah Livers, Luka Garza. I mean, I know they had one more, but I don't think that kid's going to do anything for him. But Isaiah Livers and Luka Garza, guys who, do you think both are on the roster this year? Because when you start to look, like, you can do a quick roster look right now, and they're kind of out of spots. Kelly Olynyk, Cade Cunningham, Isaiah Livers, Luka Garza, Sadiq Bey, Isaiah Stewart, Killian Hayes, Jeremy Grant, Corey Joseph, Trey Lyles, now who they've signed. If they keep Diallo, if Saban Lee's on the roster, if Sekou Doumbé on the roster, that's like 13 right there. But Isaiah Livers, to me, is a guy who could be a rotation guy who can hit shots for you, and a smart player. I mean, I think he has his limitations. Garza, worth a flyer, right? Because he's was such a force at a high level offensively in college, and can probably stretch defenses too in the pros. What do you think about those 2 guys?
Yeah, I think I'll say this. They're 2 guys that, if you're starting a G League team in Detroit, those are 2 pretty good names to start with, you know. And
fill up that Wayne State Gymnasium or wherever they're going to play.
Yeah. The Motor City Crew is like Isaiah Livers, and the Michigan fans. There's a lot of Michigan fans in Detroit. They're familiar, and if you watch any college basketball, you know who Luka Garza is. I don't see if there's room right now. I do think there's a world where Livers down the line turns into like a rotation player. He just shoots the ball so well that you just kind of maybe see like a Wayne Ellington type career for him. Garza is going to be interesting because, he has a lot of tools offensively. But, man, on defense, I'm just not sure how he could hang in today's NBA if teams go any type of small. But, hey, I mean, he can punish them on the other end. So I think he's a guy that's going to be in the G League, maybe situationally bring him up as a rookie. But maybe they're going to monitor him down the line, see how he improves defensively. It's not like, it's a big name, but a low risk.
And the last G League game I went to, this was a Grand Rapids Drive game, and the Grand Rapids team is not going to be affiliated with the Denver Nuggets. But that game had a number of dudes in it who were like legit guys. Bronson Koenig, who was great at Wisconsin. They had one of the guys who was on a Virginia deep postseason run. They had what's his name from Purdue, who switched on MSU at one point. It was like a first or second round pick.
Oh, Caleb Swanigan.
Swanigan was playing. I mean, and the guy who's now an analyst for ESPN, blank, Kendrick Perkins, was in the game. I mean, like, the G League is better than college basketball. People need to realize that too. Like, if you want to see the best basketball in Michigan, other than the NBA, you go to a G League game. You don't go to Michigan State or Michigan. Those teams would get creamed in the G League. They just would. And not that that's not where people's interests are. I'm not saying you should do that. I'm just saying it's not. The level of play in the G League is still higher than basketball. So Okay, they sign Trey Lyles and they sign Corey Joseph back, and I think Corey Joseph, 2 years, $10 million was a smart deal. Gives him a veteran option in the backcourt, and here's a guy who, when they were trying to win, played a lot last year. Do you think they are what's going to happen with Diallo, and are they going to sign him and keep him?
Yeah, it's interesting. Nothing's happened. Nobody's, to my knowledge, offered a contract bigger than what the Pistons signed their qualifying offers for. I think, in their case, they can just wait it out and maybe see if a team comes in and offers way more money that they can't refuse. But the cap space is kind of dwindling now. So I think Frank for sure comes back. Hamidou, I do think, comes back, but I'm curious to see that process, because I thought it would be a little bit more of a bidding, not like a crazy bidding war, but some type of bidding war for him in this offseason. This free agency period's been a little wacky.
It has been wacky. It's good to be a 36-year-old who wants to play with LeBron, because there's a lot of apparently $1 million contracts out there for those dudes.
Yeah.
Kelly Olynyk, I like the signing more than some people. Look, he's not going to put up Houston numbers because he was on a team that was tanking, but he's a guy who I think can complement Isaiah Stewart pretty well, can stretch the floor for Killian Hayes and for Kate Cunningham. But when you look at a lineup and that's why they got him, right? He can play the 4, the 5, and he can stretch the floor, right? Is that the reason?
Yeah, I think that's a better fit for, like we'd mentioned earlier, Cade's not the most athletic player, and Killian's not either. When Mason's there, yeah, you lose a rim threat, but it also brings another body with you to the rim, and those guys aren't big leapers, Cade and Killian. So it just opens up more room, opens up more space to operate. It's literally, yeah, you're trading vertical gravity for floor spacing, and I think for that team, it makes a little bit more sense. And I think it's very clear. I don't know if people thought because they got the number 1 pick that they were going to go all in and it's time to go for the playoffs. I think if they make it, great. But I don't see, this team is the same team as last year. You just traded Kelly Olynyk for Mason Plumlee.
Although last year they weren't trying to win, and that's the one difference. They're going to play Jeremy Grant and Corey Jones. Corey, I think, will come off the bench probably, but they're going to play Jeremy Grant this year. That's the difference, right? They're going to play to win and to try and get in a top 10 spot and be in the postseason, I'm guessing. That's got to be the goal?
I would think so. I just can't imagine that even in that, they won 20 games. Do they win 10 more games because Jeremy Grant didn't play the last month of the year? And
they did a pretty good job tanking last year, James. It was pretty impressive.
They did do a very good job. I don't know. I think anything more than a 10-win leap would be pretty significant.
Okay.
I think they're still a year away from. There's a world where they make the play, and no question. I'm not ruling that out. I don't think this is an outright playoff team, though.
I'm putting money on anything over 35. The over-under at 35. I think they get to 35 wins. I do.
Really?
Look at where Cleveland was before they decided to tank. They were almost in the 10 spot. It's just the leap is. It may seem like a lot of games, but in terms of who's good in the NBA, I don't think it's that far to go. All right. So what's the starting lineup? Is it? Are they going with both Killian and Cade and Sadiq Bey and Isaiah Livers and then Kelly Olynyk? Is that yours? But no, you're going to start Jeremy Grant. So who's your starting 5 if you had to guess, or your finishing 5?
It's a great question. Naturally, the finishing 5 could be Kelly. Just kind of depends on what you need. If you need some offense, obviously that makes more sense. If you need some defense, Isaiah makes more sense. There's still part of me. It's Isaiah showed he could play big minutes. I know he's injured right now. He'll be ready for camp. I would just be very surprised if he came off the bench to start, but I don't know. Maybe I think there's a world in which Kelly comes off the bench, but they play equal amount of minutes in some way. And it goes to the versatility that the roster has kind of accumulated over the last season and a half. It's weird. I'm curious to find out. I would pencil Isaiah in as a starter, but I don't feel confident about that one.
And so then it's the other guys. Like Jeremy Grant is sort of a small 4-man wing, is what you're saying.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, he would start at the 4.
Yeah. I like that'd be fun to watch. So the rest of free agency, what stood out to you? And all the things that have happened, draft night or free agency, what has popped in your mind? I mean, in terms of, like, I'll just give you one thing for me. Like, I feel like the Bulls, which just signed DeRozan for 5 years to a 31-year-old B-level star at his best, are now 10 years away from a championship because they're giving money to guys who aren't going to get you to a title. And, again, it's my old theory that it's going to take you 5 years to figure it out, then you got to tear it down, then you got to rebuild. Like, I don't know what these teams are doing with some of these massive contracts to B-level dudes in their 30s.
Yeah, I was going to say Chicago. Don't love the DeRozan signing, as you said, but it could be fun. Like, I'm a Lonzo Ball guy. I like Lonzo.
You like fun NBA, too, as much as winning. You're always like, this, doesn't have to be,
different.
Yeah.
It's a weird team. It's a weird team that has some fun pieces. They went and got Vucevic last year. They have Levine. Like, how is Lonzo, DeRozan, and Levine going to work? Like, it could be a shit show, or it might work. And I'm very curious to see. I respect the Bulls for, like, enough's enough. Like, we've been so bad for, like, let's just try to, like, maybe go be the regular season team that can win 41 games if everything breaks right. Like, I respect it. They've been so bad for so long now. It's been about 10 years since the Rose era ended. Trying to think who else free agency do I like? We're dropping MFers now. I don't know. It's been a weird. This was always a bad free agency class. I saw a lot of Pistons fans are like they thought the DeMar DeRozan stuff to Detroit, and I'm like, that's just, there's no money for that. It's not going to happen. It
doesn't make sense. Like, you don't know what you have. Like, that's the thing in Detroit to me is you're trying to still evaluate a number of players and see who's going to grow into be your core.
Yeah. And
I don't think you want to mess with that with somebody who's going to take up 36 minutes a game who's 31 years old. I don't see how that would ever make sense. All right, let's go here. Who would be your pick to come out of the East and West next year?
I like Miami.
You like what they've done, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I like adding Lowry to that team. He fits their mindset. I worry about Jimmy's. I think Jimmy might have one more year. Now I'm going to go Miami in the East. And in the West, man, West is so weird. Like, obviously I'm going to say Denver comes back.
Yeah, I like that.
Resurrects. I like Denver.
I like it too. I don't think what LA is doing is, I don't think the Russell Westbrook thing is going to work as well as people want it to. And being that old, I think LeBron's won his last title in the NBA unless he catches on somewhere in some different type of squad at the very end. James, you're a beautiful man. You do great work at The Athletic. And, look forward to catching up soon and hoping to play some ball for real. So.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys as always. Thanks for having me.
No, thanks for taking some time. That's James Edwards from The Athletic. Worth a subscription for the work he does there. Thanks to Harry as well. Thanks to you guys for listening. Thanks to Front 43 and Cask & Company. Go to caskandcompany.com. Take a look at their menu. Just swing on by anytime. Just an outstanding vibe and place and two places connected. Great menu. And thanks to Skyman. Again, Skyman, you can take your mom there, right? That's the new slogan. That's what we should have. Good
Get
show,
mom
man.
high, yes.
Yes, get your mom high. Go to Skyman. Yeah, good show, man.
Yeah, man.
Couch in the Roof.